Hey everybody, welcome back to the Coff-Man show. I'm your host, Mike Coff-Man. That's my garage door closing in the background. Gonna take you guys on a trip with me. So, things that I gotta do in order to be successful as a narrator. Actually got this brought up to me by somebody that it would be a good topic to broach, if you will. What I like to do is I like to do character research, right? And I don't mean characters in the story, I mean characters in myself. I like to listen to how I read and then play it back over and over and over, because we don't pay attention to how we talk. I was actually listening to a story. I read this book years ago called Inside Delta Force, and they brought up a valid point, and that point is that you don't know how you sound unless you record yourself, both video and audio. So when I was in the Army, I was reading this book. I was actually in Iraq, and it was a really good story, good storyline, good book, and it brought some things to light for me as a young leader in what was then today's Army for me. And so when I went to WLC, for those of you who were before the Iraq-Afghanistan war, when it started, it was called BNOC. I don't know what it's called now, and in 2025, but for us it was the Warrior Leaders Course, WLC. And if you wanted to get pinned to E5 Sergeant, you had to attend this class. So one of the things they did is they make you speak in public, right? You got to do a public speaking seminar where you're doing a PowerPoint presentation, or you're doing an award ceremony. I can't pull the things all right off the top of my head, but you do things like you'll lead in the NCO Creed, you'll lead in the Soldier's Creed, the Warrior's Ethos, stuff like that, and you'll go through. And one thing that I never noticed that I remember from that book, Inside Delta Force, is you don't realize how much you use filler words. So I'll say stuff, and I've caught myself doing it in all my other videos, where I'm like, or I'll start a video out with, okay, so. So filler words are things that I never really paid attention to until I started doing when I did WLC, I learned about it, but then I never really paid attention to it, because when you're going through that stuff, it's just a blur. You're there for 4 weeks. You're treated like a young leader. Everybody's treated like a sergeant, and then you're pushed through a gentleman's course. You do some field op planning, so on and so forth, and then you bumped out. It's like a conveyor line of pushing out leadership, right? Sorry, it's raining outside. But so one of the things that I've paid attention to here recently with my recording is I have been using filler words. Why? Because I'm not scripted. So when you're not operating off of a script, you don't use standard language.
New text message from Chris Hall.
I just got a text message, you guys heard that. You don't use standard language. You use filler words, like them, blah, 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 however you want to say it, right? You use filler words. So there's that. And then I realized that I space out a lot when I record. So I've had to do my own character research on myself after watching different recordings and videos and going back and seeing how I talk. I did notice that I touch my face a lot. So these are things that I do also when I'm recording just audio for like a podcast or something. I'll see that I touch just my face, and I'll do stuff like scratch my beard, play with my beard, or my fingers through my hair, because I don't know what to do with my hands. I feel like Ricky Bobby sometimes, where I don't know whether I'm talking loud enough or what to do with my hands. You know, I feel like I don't know what to do with my hands sometimes. So I'm gonna look into that to see what, and see I'm doing it again, to see what other items there are that I can use for my hands, because when I'm just sitting there recording, I don't know what to do with my hands. Another Jeep. So I got to figure that out, because that's kind of important. But anyways, this video had absolutely no point or purpose. I just wanted to share that with my audience and let you guys see that as a narrator, as a voice actor, as somebody who does videos, there's more that goes into it than you think. And I've talked about the breathing, I've talked about the editing, I've talked about the reading, but the acting, there's actual acting that you have to do when you're doing the recordings, just audio. So anyways, I gotta go pick my son up from school, and then I will upload this later to YouTube. Alright guys, thanks.